And on top of that, Rob Jones has his own podcast now.
Boom. One episode.
He's one episode deep.
Boom.
One episode deep. He's on the path.
Yeah.
The podcast is called Use the Weight.
Yep.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I remember
Use
that
the
one
Weight,
too.
which is...
Wait till you see the logo.
Yeah.
Legit.
Yeah, so you can get that wherever podcasts are available.
Yeah.
I've listened to the first episode. You talk about getting after it.
Oh, yeah.
And... yeah, you talk about how to get through a lot of things. So it's awesome.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of an advice style podcast right now where people are asking me questions. So all those people listening to this, if you're sending question after question to Jocko and he just refuses to answer you. He reads it and then just throws it in the trash. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
But yeah, if anybody has questions that they want to get answered, by me, then send them to me at robjonesjourney@gmail.com or through my website or through social media, and I will answer them.
You just gave out your website on this? That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, my email?
You're fired up, yeah.
Oh, no, that's my special email. That's not like my personal. That's my special email that I give out for stuff like this. And it also helps to keep it kind of separated, so I can have all my questions. I can just check that email.
Oh, yeah. So you don't got to sift through.
Yeah, so I have to sift and organize.
Look at the way I have to sift.
Dang, yeah, I got to learn that lesson too a little bit.
Yeah. Did I miss anything else from your various platforms?
No, I mean, I am working on a book too.
Oh, awesome.
There's no real, date to release date or anything, but I'm hoping it's going to be a book about veterans and the positive, and just continuing to create that story that I was talking about earlier about just telling that side of the coin about veterans that come home and are fine.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it's going to be, right now I'm kind of making it kind of like, you ever read anything by Plato? Well, he does like basically all of his writing is conversations that Socrates had.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make it kind of like that, where it's just basically just a series of conversations between two people.
You know what? And this, I just thought this while you were saying this, because I think this is another important thing on that exact subject. And we were talking earlier about these two categories of like the vet that comes home and he's good, and the vet that comes home and he's a little bit off track.
Yeah.
But I would like to say, and I know you're going to agree with this 100%. Just because you're a little bit off track doesn't mean you're going to you can't easily get back on track. Or I've known all kinds of veterans that they were off track a little bit for a little while, and then they figure it out and they get back on track. They find a new mission. So, the guys, and that's actually fairly common from what I've seen. And actually talking to a lot of guys that went through Vietnam, and they'd come home from Vietnam and they were a little messed up when they got home, and they got through it, got over it, and got it out of their system and moved on. And again, I've talked about this before. When you got done with World War II, you sat on a ship with a bunch of other vets for 6 weeks, and you debriefed everything on a ride home, and you got that out of your system, and you got to communicate, and you moved through it mentally. Yeah. Vietnam, they didn't have that opportunity. Vietnam, it was, you're in Vietnam today, and then tomorrow you're in San Francisco alone. By the way, you're not with anybody else. You're not with any other veterans. Nowadays, we do a pretty good job of when you come home, you're coming home with your unit, you stay together, you have people to talk to that have the common experience. But yeah, to the vets out there that are thinking, oh man, I feel like I might be one of those guys that's not on the right track right now, you can get back on the right track. Yeah. And it's finding your new mission and moving down that path towards achieving it.
And just trying everything that you possibly can. Like for me, it's easy to figure out what I needed to do because there was a system in place and it's an obvious physical injury. But with the mental injuries, we don't exactly know how to fix them yet. But you just have to keep trying this. All right, try talking about it with a therapist. Didn't work. All right, try, hyperbolic chambers or whatever. Yep. Try this, try that. And just because you tried one thing and it didn't work out doesn't mean that you don't want to. That doesn't mean that you now are fine with, nightmares and stuff. You just got to keep trying everything until everything is exhausted.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I've in talking to Jordan Peterson, the couple times we've had him on here, into listening to him, in reading his book, it's become very obvious to me, and it's sort of reflective of something that Dakota Meyer said on the podcast, which is like, hey, there's your brain, your mentality, your psychology is a system. And just like you have a system to move through when you have a physical injury to get healed or get corrected, well, it's the same thing with your psychological state. Mm-hmm. And if that psychological state is off a little bit, well, there's people that know how to fix it. If you listen to when Jordan's talking about the way that he would bring someone through a problem, there's a systematic way to do that. Yeah. And I never really understood that until I started listening to him, because, when they'd send us to the psychologist to debrief a deployment, for me, it was just sort of, I had the negative attitude of, I'm not going to tell this guy anything because I don't want them to think I'm crazy, and I don't want to get, put on whatever, thing. And so I just was, hey, I'm just going to move forward. Yeah. And that was sort of my attitude. And I'll tell you, when I was in, that was a very common attitude was, hey, look, I'm not going to tell this psychologist doesn't know what I've been through. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to tell him anything. That was very common. And again, I think for me, listening to Jordan, because I would have been, 2 years ago or a year ago before I started listening to Jordan Peterson talk, I never really saw the connection. And then it really solidified it when I heard Dakota talking about it, saying, look, I put the two and two together. When I heard Dakota talking about it, like, there's people, just like if you wanted to get good at Olympic lifting, mm-hmm. you'd go to an Olympic. If you tried to figure that out on your own, it would take you forever, and you might get hurt. You might get hurt worse. Yeah. Right. Whereas if you went to a real Olympic lifting coach and said, hey, I want to learn the clean and jerk and the snatch, they would say, okay, here's where we're going to start. We're going to start with the PVC pipe, and then we're going to go through the motions. Then we're going to get better at this, and then we're going to do high pulls, and they're going to walk you through the whole system. And a psychologist will do that with your brain. They'll say, oh, okay, I see what you're scared of needles, as the example Jordan Peterson gave. Here's what we're going to do to get you used to needles. Well, when you come back from a traumatic event, here's some things that we can do to revisit that. And I think the same thing that you talked about earlier with like movies, mm-hmm. I think the part of my prejudice against psychologists came from the way that they're portrayed in movies as being like, sitting on this couch and like these weird people that, and it's not. It's more pragmatic than that. Yeah. At least it seems that way to me. So
it's like a trainer kind of, or like a rehab.
It's more like a trainer, more like a coach, right?
Therapist,
more like a coach, or more like a jiu-jitsu instructor. That's saying like, hey, here's what you need to do here. You get caught in this position. Here's what you need to do. The psychologist says, oh, you're having bad dreams about this. Okay, let's try these things. And I don't know what those things are because I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but they do know. Yeah. They do know what to tell you to do, and they do know how to help you get through those things. And just like jiu-jitsu or just like athletic training or just like Olympic lifting, it's going to vary for different people. And a good psychological coach is going to know how to make those adjustments and say, oh, you're feeling this a little bit more. Oh, it's because you came from this kind of family, so this is what's going to help you. But you came from a different kind of family, so this is going to help you a little different way. Yeah. So I think those things are important to think about. And again, I just wanted to reemphasize the point that just because you might be in a rut either as a vet or just as a human being, there's every little decision you make, you can start moving in the right direction and moving towards a better place. In your life and everything that you're doing. So just wanted to bring that out. Echo, you got anything else?
All good. Good to see you again.
Oh man, it's so awesome to be here and just be included among the people that you guys deem worthy of. It takes a long time to do this. It takes a lot of preparation, and it's just for you guys to take that time and spend it on preparing to have me as a guest. It's a huge compliment and a huge honor.
It's an honor for us. Do you got any other closing thoughts?
Yeah, just want to point out that I'm the one here in the hot seat, and I'm getting all the accolades and.
Sure.
But I didn't do anything that I've accomplished without people helping me. I like to. It's kind of like a pyramid. Like I'm the tip of the pyramid. I'm like the thing that everybody likes to see, and it's the top of the pyramid, but. There's a whole gigantic base underneath this pyramid that if the tip didn't have it, then the tip would just be a stupid rock. And so, I, all the way since my recovery, I've had supporting people in my family, and especially on this month of marathons thing I just did. If my wife hadn't been there, if Pam hadn't been there, then it's not happening at all. I mean, there's some things that I could say, you know, I could have done it, but it wouldn't have been as good. But this thing would not have happened without her. I totally gave her the reins. I, you know, set it up, and if there was any question she had about overall, you know, vision for what I was trying to accomplish, she would ask me. But like when we had a couple hiccups along the way, and I just totally 100% trusted her that she'd be able to take care of it, and she did every single time. And I'm sure I'm not giving even enough credit. So there's probably 1,000 things that she did I don't even know about yet. But I mean, I just owe her huge. And then also my mom, same thing, you know, just being willing to withstand a month in an RV with 4 people, you know, and probably putting up with me being grumpy or whatever, you know, in pain and stuff. And I couldn't imagine having, you know, 2 people along with me that would have made it better, or that I would have trusted as much. And then also my buddy that drove, and then just all the people that kept me going, that ran with me and, you know, deemed me worthy of their time, and the people that sent me messages of encouragement that couldn't make it out. I just owe everybody a huge debt of gratitude. And I'm going to do my best to continue to keep fighting and earn that respect and earn their effort, earn their sacrifices as much as I can.
Awesome.